Hello and a very warm welcome to the latest edition of the Keyboard World magazine. My name is Andy Carville, and in this edition I'm going to be talking and presenting to you two different videos on the topic of timing. Timing, it's a very important issue. In fact, I think music is made up of three basic pillars that support the whole performance. There are some more, I'll talk about those in a second, but the three basic ones are, firstly, the melody. Yes, guess what? You have to get the tune right with your right hand. The second one is harmony, which is left-hand chords, which does include bass to some degree. And the third one is timing. Now, the third one is there because timing is the glue that sticks together the melody and the harmony and indeed the whole performance. There are some others I mentioned. There is expression and dynamics, volume controls, and even on a keyboard like this, selecting the right sounds and the right style, etc. is very important. But melody, harmony and timing. Now, I mentioned here the keyboard. And of course, an important part of any arranger keyboard is playing with accompaniment styles. I'll come on to this a little bit later, but it's absolutely essential that your timing is correct to make proper use of the accompaniment styles. Well, frankly, you'll just get some drums randomly banging away in the background while you fiddle around with your melody and your chords. So timing, vital. So the first thing we're going to look at is a basic time signature. Now, Paul is going to put an image up on the screen here, which is 4/4. This is the most common time signature you see in lots and lots of music. In fact, it's so common, its other name is common time, and it's sometimes shown actually as a C, which can be a little bit confusing, just one of those oddments in music. So if you don't see a time signature but see a large capital C, it does mean 4/4. It's the same thing. Now, the most important number here for this video, and by the way, when we move on to the more advanced video number 2, we are going to be covering some more advanced topics in there. Good idea to watch this one because this will cover some fundamentals. It may just be a bit of a refresher for you at home, but there's some important things which we're going to talk about in here which will be relevant in the second video. The top number of this 4 on top of the 4 is the most important element, and that actually means 4 beats to a bar. Now, hopefully you know that already. There are some other common time signatures, sort of standard time signatures that you see. The second most favourite one is probably 3/4, where there's a 3 above the 4, and that is, I suppose, known as waltz time as well. Now, let's go back to 4/4. What is 4/4? Well, it means there are 4 beats in every bar. I think I've already said that. Music is broken down into individual little sections, split up by what's known as bar lines. So each bar contains 4 beats. And I'm sure you probably know this. Each note is allocated a different number of beats. So we can have 1 beat notes, we can have 4 beat notes, we can have 3 beat notes, etc, etc. And it's important that you give each of those notes the correct amount of beats. Now then, I just want to show you something actually on the keyboard here, just to show you how important timing is and allocating those correct number of beats. Here's just a scale of C going up, and a scale of C coming down. Now, I'm going to play the scale of C coming down, but all I'm going to change is the timing of each note. And suddenly there's a tune you recognise. It's quite a festive tune. It goes like this. Just a scale of C coming down. But the timing made all the difference. Okay, and that's why it's so important. If I played that same tune, Joy to the World, it doesn't sound like Joy to the World. So get your timing right. And suddenly it sounds like a tune. Now, here is the most important point about timing. Whether it's in this first video or in the second video, this is the most important point. Timing is a constant, never varying pulse, a beat in the music. Okay? If you set off at a certain tempo, in other words, let's say we're doing 4 beats to the bar, so you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is the tempo of the piece of music you have to stick to. You can't change it. It doesn't get faster or get slower because you ran into a difficult bit. You can't slow down. The beat, the pulse of the music has to be constant. Okay? So this is why in the last edition actually of the magazine I did an article about practice. An important part of that practice was getting the timing and practicing the timing of a piece. That is why it's so important, because you can't vary it, particularly if you're using an accompaniment style. Now, when you listen to a professional player play, using a style or using rhythm of any way, they have to stay in that constant beat. Now, there is a feature which is actually very underused on keyboards, in my opinion. And that feature is a simple metronome. And I'm just going to select here, which is on this particular instrument, which is the PA5X. I'm just going to select a metronome. Now, in the screen here, we can see that the meter here, it says 4/4. So we're counting 4 beats per bar. We've got 4 flashing lights, the red one indicating that we're on beat 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And down here, I have the actual tempo. So you can slow that down, or you can speed it up. Now, it's quite natural when we hear a tune like Brazil, a fast Latin number, that we want to dive straight in and have the samba rhythm flashing away in the background there, but we then struggle to keep up with it. Now, 2 reasons for that. The first is usually because, I'm just going to turn the metronome off there. The first one usually is because A, you're trying to be too ambitious early on. You haven't learnt the melody and the chords correctly. And the second reason is you're just diving straight in, trying to do this. So my suggestion is slow everything down. Now, accompaniment styles are fantastic. I mean, they are brilliant. They really are. The problem with accompaniment styles is sometimes they are so brilliant that they actually mask the beat. You can't feel that pulse so well because you've got breastings going on and guitar strumming away, etc, etc, etc. And that's why the metronome is really useful, because it's so obvious that you can hear that beat and feel that beat. Now, Paul's going to put up for us on the screen here a piece of music called Merrily We Roll Along. It's very, very easy. You probably can play this. But let's just look at the timing here. We're going to cover the note values in just a moment, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's just finish there on the first line. The rhythm was constant, and we also got the note values for the melody correct. Let's take a look at those basic note values that we were using there. Paul's going to put on the screen now a picture of a semibreve. Oh, yes, posh name. This is just a round note. which actually you usually only see pretty much in 4/4. You might see it in some other time signatures, because a semibreve, which is just this round note that you can see on the screen now, is worth 4 beats. So when you see one of those, you hold the note down for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I'm going to come on to what they call them in America in just a moment, because that's got uses in our second video. Okay. So semibreve, 4 beats. In America, now I lived in America for 4 years, and one of the things I learnt musically over there is that they have different names for the note values. So instead of being called a semibreve in America, this is called a whole note. Now, not many things in America generally made sense, but actually I can really understand this one. And the reason they call it a whole note is because in 4/4 time it fills a whole bar. Okay, now let's take a look at a minim. A minim is sort of a semibreve, but it's got a little stem on it, and that is worth 2 beats. So you hold that down for 1, 2. It's as quick as that. 1, 2. Yeah. So a semibreve is 1, 2, 3, 4, and a minim is 1, 2. And I'll do 2 minims now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. In America, that's called a half note. Not a whole note, it's a half. Okay, note. So that's worth 2 beats because it's half a bar in 4/4 time. We've now got crotchets, which look like minims, but they're filled in black notes, and they're worth 1 beat each. And guess what? In America, they're called quarter notes. So instead of being 4 beats like a semibreve, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 beats like a minim, 1, 2, 3, 4. Crotchets are 1, 2, 3, 4 on each beat. And then the last one we're going to look at in this particular video is called a quaver. Not a little crisp you buy from the off license, but it's a notes with a little tail on, or they're joined together. They're joined together when you see them in runs. So we're showing you a little cluster of quavers here, and these are only worth a half a beat. Now you're going to say, how do I count a half a beat? Well, the musical way of counting a half a beat is to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So the and represents the middle. You can't go 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3. It doesn't work. So 1 and 2 and. So if you're counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Yeah, so that's a quaver. Now, if we go back to the music of Merrily We Roll Along, I think in this particular piece we've only got crotchets, and we've got some minims, and we've got a semibreve. That's all we have. So let me put the metronome back on, and we'll play now exactly what's written on the sheet. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Semibreve. 2, 3, 4. End. And I don't know whether you notice there or feel that metronome is helping me keep the beat, which is what it's there to do. That's why it exists. It's helping the counting. Now, you can count in your head, you can count out loud, you can get your counting supported by the metronome, but it's very, very important. Okay? I think that's all we're going to cover in this first little video here. What I'd like to point out to you is that we do actually have some books on timing available. As with all of our books in Keyboard World, they are very, very good value for money. And there's 3 actually in the series, because timing is a big topic. There are not only 4-beat notes and 2-beat notes and 1-beat notes and half-beat notes. There are quarter-beat notes. There are tied notes. There are dotted notes. There's all sorts of different things. There's things called triplets. So in these books, we cover all of these different topics and show you how to cope with them in your playing. So if you fancy any of those books, go and take a look. As I say, great value for money. I hope you found that a little bit interesting, but do watch the second video, which goes into some more advanced topics. Thanks very much for watching.